Hey folks, welcome. This is Bob Tripathi with Bobcast, our own podcast, and today I have a great guest with me, and his name is Satyakam Das. Satyakam, welcome. And it's gonna be a very unique conversation because Satyakam, as I was referring to with you, you worked in big corporations like Discover, Athletico, and many more. And like we know each other from my Discover days, which was many, many, many years back, and a lot of things have changed. Of course, we all had dark hair. Now there's a lot more gray. Uh, so, of course, that, but yeah, or receding hairline, if I may say so. You pull it off really well. But things have changed not just in our inner world, but in the world of business, marketing, and whatnot. So I'm so excited to talk to you today about all things related to technology, MarTech, AI, of course, and marketing. So welcome. Thank you so much for doing this. And if you don't mind, if you can introduce yourself, that would be great because I think you will do a better job than I will ever do. So over to you.
Hi, Bob, and thanks for having me here. It's great to see you reconnect after a very, very long time. And thank you for this opportunity to share from some of my experience. So I started with the tech industry with IBM a very long time ago and pivoted post MBA to driving marketing strategies for large corporations. They included which included building teams, scaling channels, especially digital marketing, acquisition, engagement, retention. I also had the good fortune of managing very strong teams, which actually helped me, bring in or usher in the changes I wanted to bring in these different organizations. I also, actually, I want to use the word love, shaping the vision and strategic direction of MarTech, so marketing technology stack, and also, hire teams to execute against the longer term strategy. So, as you said, I spent quite a long time with Discover, with different products. I've understood how to engage with our different audiences for different products, and now with Athletico, I lead the MarTech organization. So I'm the strategic owner of all MarTech and sales platforms. I'm responsible for building capabilities for marketing and sales. I also am responsible for growth marketing efforts, so driving customer acquisition, retention, and engagement. Work across the organization with senior leaders and to drive change. And
Amazing.
thanks for having me here. And I hope that the next few minutes we'll be talking about some things that will matter to your listeners.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so happy that we are getting to do this. And of course, you, as you said, I think you were at Discover for like 14, 15 years, right? Which in today's world is like an eternity. But you have a very unique perspective because you came from a tech background and then you ended up in marketing, which is MarTech, and then driving strategies both on the customer acquisition side. So to start off with, was that a hindrance? Because, engineers, they're born thinking slightly different. When, for example, like if you tell me, I'm always thinking, how can I create an offer so I can sell this bottle better, or how can I package it differently? But you, as an engineer, think about how you can build this bottle better so the water flow and all that is this. So, how was that transition? If you can help me understand.
So this is a great question for multiple reasons. So the first reason was being an engineer, it actually helps. Engineering is all about training your mind. It definitely helped me develop left brain thinking, so logical, analytical, rational thinking, which helps in making decisions, right? As I mentioned earlier, I did an MBA to understand the business side of it, marketing strategies, corporate strategy, which then helped me, join Discover after MBA. So The side of me that was less developed was the right side, right brain, right? So the creative side of it, in terms of connecting with audiences, understanding customer needs, really serving their needs, really, understanding and serving their needs in a way, and meeting them where they need us. So what happened is, I had, the good fortune of having great managers who were experts in their field, and digital marketing, media, customer engagement. So I've learned a lot from my previous managers. With technology being the main pillar of innovation, in 2010 to 2020 at least, and even now, of course, it helped me. So I was one of the people who could see end to end. In fact, one of my marketing directors, when I started out, I was with marketing analytics at Discover. One of the marketing directors told me that your experience is unique in terms of, because we were ushering in new digital marketing efforts, channel scaling, and she said, because you understand digital, you should be more and more involved in the strategy. So then I started attending agency meetings, worked very closely with the actual marketing execution team, and then developed strategy with them, in partnership with them, and then I was making agencies responsible. So that's how the marketing journey started, and from there on I took on larger roles to lead marketing efforts across multiple products and organizations.
Amazing, amazing. And so during that time, I mean, that was a great foresight, and in my head, I can see a couple of faces at Discover that could be, but we're not going to get into that. But that was a great time, what you just said, because, like I started my career 2000 to 2010, that was a specific period. But after 2010 until 2017, 18, we saw this, the whole MarTech landscape, marketing technology landscape, just ballooning out, right? And I think you were at the forefront because you were on the tech side, and then no marketing strategies and things like that so well. So how do you go about designing a marketing technology or MarTech tech stack? Everybody talks about it, and without getting into specifics, but what are your main strategic framework when you design something like that?
There are a few things I want to talk about. The first thing is the business objective. So the MarTech stack, and there's a slight difference between MarTech stack and the new innovation within AI, and we'll get into that later. But MarTech stack always starts with what is the business objective, because these are significant investments, marketing dollar investments in technologies. The large platforms that all of us are aware of are very, very expensive, and so defining the need is super important. Do you want to serve the customer at the right place at the right time? It sounds great, and with the right offer, it sounds great. But how do you go about thinking about technology? The actual operationalizing the platform, how do you think about whether you want to develop a point-to-point solution, whether you want to select a best-of-breed platform, or a solution, an ecosystem where the handoff between one part of the ecosystem to the other part of the ecosystem is seamless. So there are a lot of business objective, and the KPIs are important. Do you want to acquire more customers? You want to cross-sell to them new products, new offerings, and things of that nature. So a business objective, marketing objective are super critical. Then you start with the tech stack. Then you do research around like what's available, what's not. And then go about, meeting these partners, engaging with them, understanding, evaluating. But you can't do this alone, because a platform requires many functions. Like there are many roles to be played when you buy a new platform. So you need the users of the platform, you need technology, you need the data partners all of them have to come together to start the platform. So you have to think about people strategy around, who do you want, and then slowly as you put together the vision and the roadmaps need use cases. So you have to understand what the use cases are. What is your plan for MVP? Like, what is your MVP, right? And then how do you prove out the MVP, and then how do you build out the roadmap thereafter, short-term, mid-term, long-term. And then the biggest part of it is what if the organization, different parts of the organizations are using different platforms to serve the same thing? Then how do you consolidate that? How do you unify the strategy of the organization into one cohesive, let's say, strategy? It could be audience strategy or marketing strategy, anything. How do you bring them together into one platform? How do you influence your hierarchy, and then going up to the CMO, CEO, whoever has an interest in investing in these platforms? So you have to make allies, a lot of allies across the enterprise, because organizations could be at different levels of maturity. They could have prior platforms that tends to hinder progress. Then you have to find organizations, the departments who raise their hands and want to go first. So then the use cases will then line up, and the readiness is important. So there are a lot of things go into the strategy: people strategy, technology strategy, obviously business objective, marketing objective. The operations angle is super important. Then you stand up centers of excellence around the function that you want to drive to the technology, whether it's campaign management, whether it is personalization on the website, whether it is ad tech driven media. All of these need their own centers of excellence and things of that nature.
No, that's great. So start with your business objectives, then go into the operations, then you see that which are the KPIs that you have as a business, as marketing, and then get your processes, people, all the stakeholders together. And everybody has their own wish list, right? Because as humans, we all get so much attracted by the bells and whistles, oh, this is great because this looks beautiful, and it has a great UI. So because there's so many stakeholders and it needs so many calibration, how do you then whittle down that this stays, this goes out, goes back?
So you could do, the first thing is to have allies and to influence the people who become sponsors, right? And then you definitely need to have a charter, some roadmaps, and agreed upon by people and things of that nature. But also when you have use cases, and then you start to write what is the problem statement, what is the estimated impact, what needs to change to make this happen. So you probably need to write one pagers and then figure out the effort estimate, right? The effort cost versus value kind of estimates. And then WSGIF method and things of that, yes, great, but it takes a long time to gain agreements for that. I think you want to understand, because you have to get to the MVP first to prove out.
Yeah.
So you have to get to the one that can be done quickly and can deliver value. And then it's I don't want to say it's a democratic approach, okay, everyone gets something to do, but it has to depend on value and readiness of an organization to meet that change, the new way of working, new way of engaging customers or even internal stakeholders.
So if you have to let's say group it all together, for the benefit of the audience, let's say there is 5 platforms, right? You don't have to name the platform specific, but what those 5 category of platforms could be that is essential backbone of every MarTech stack or tech stack you have designed, what could that be like?
Yes, so it again depends on the objective. So if you are interested in managing customer relationship, So it depends on the business objective. So CRM is extremely crucial. You cannot do without a CRM, right? For your existing customers. So that's one pillar. Your campaign management, CRM is one pillar. Then you have, if you want to do, if you want to do ad tech, like if you want to reach out to media, get better in running media, especially using your own data, for example, then you will have to think about ad tech. So there were DMPs which have been replaced by CDPs and things of that. So that's one pillar. Then you have personalization. Personalization means you want to deliver experiences, and CDPs can deliver experiences too, but you also have personal, A/B testing tools on the website. And so those, I would say, those three are most when it comes to B2C kind of. And this is like how you benefit the customer through these changes. So campaign management, ad tech, I would say your personalization, and then the other thing is content management. So CMS could be your other pillar. Is you want to manage, you want to have a CMS, an asset, a DAM, digital asset management platform. So that's one unit. So you have like these 4 or 5 pillars, and that becomes your stack. The challenge is if you want to like make it seamless, and if data is involved, then the challenge is like, what do you purchase, and that plays into your decisions. Like the less friction you have and the more seamless it is, the better, the easier it is to operate and deliver the experience.
It's a great point, because I'm going to harp on that. Less friction, you mean among people, right?
No. There'll always be like some friction among people, but I'm talking more about like activation of the use cases. So let's say you need data. So if your data is sitting somewhere, it has to come to the platform and then be used for the experience to be delivered. So if the less the friction, the easier it is to deliver the experience in real time. Otherwise, you rely on like batch processes, things of that nature. Because in today's world, I was reading somewhere, people have like 3 seconds to spend on your website or web page. And it's all in real time. So you need to have, and video. So and you need to have seamless ecosystems to deliver that.
How is it different to be in a highly regulated industry and having a MarTech? Now, I know you ran Discover Car for a while. How is it marketing in a regulated industry? And what is your experience with it?
So, regulated industry there's a reason why there's so many, regulations that exist, and it is to safeguard the interests of the consumers, to protect them, and hence the regulations are there and guidelines for those regulations. I think the best part is so some of the challenges is like to understand compliance and the usage of compliance in marketing activities or other activities. And then really making legal and compliance your allies, because they will interpret the law and the guidelines, and they will help the marketers or others to execute. Definitely, I think regulations means you make legal compliance your partners, strong partners. And unlike definitely, I would say like the consumer behavior, it also depends on the consumer behavior. In regulated industries, I feel like regulated industries is also where consumers have much more at stake than something like purchasing a TV, where it is a commodity. So consumer behavior is important, and to that end, I think something that regulated industries do and probably do well also is like being more customer centric and having authenticity in how they deliver content and experiences. So as an example, I've seen a proliferation of content creators in financial services, in healthcare, and a lot of them And I don't know how verified or unverified they are. So, which leads to the point about authenticity. So, as you may have seen, there are some websites that create health resources and financial resources that rank high up in the SEO, and which makes it very challenging for brands, right? But the point I was trying to make with authenticity is you're now starting to see content written by someone and reviewed by someone in healthcare, reviewed by a healthcare professional, but written by someone. So these are the some of the things that are being done. Or if you have blog content, you have more the clinicians write them or things of that nature. So there has to be some authenticity into this. With the ushering in of AI, it's to be seen whether AI will, if AI creates content quickly, then, and if it is going to be reviewed, is it coming from the person's experience or is it coming from technology? So there's some questions about, authentic content. So authenticity in regulated industries, because there's evolution of digital technologies of late, right? Financial services was always ahead. I mean, in going back to all the way to 2001, to I think there was a lot of evolution that started then. Since then, healthcare is catching up, and we are looking at consumers being very digital friendly, and they want to engage digitally. So there was a lot of transformation that happened in healthcare industry, including my current company, where we actually launched a patient portal, which did not exist before, and that helps with the registration process, etc. So and then all that comes with their own regulations, set of regulations, and things of that nature. I think as a marketer, something that's very challenging is also in the regulated industry is data, like what data you can use, how much data you can use to target or not target. Something that's very easy in the retail e-commerce world, to personalize the experience, to make campaigns very targeted, to retarget.
Every email is a target there, right?
It's not like that in regulated industry. It's not like that at all in healthcare, and to financial services is slightly better in that respect. But e-commerce, as a marketer, is you have to you're a little bit limited by what data you have and how much you can use, and then there are laws and regulations that govern it for the right reasons.
So your targeting basically has to go through a lot of checks and balances, right? Like when you have in the healthcare world, right? So how was it different for you going from a regulated industry, say financial, and then going to an even more regulated industry like healthcare, right? So do you wish wish I was a startup and I could target everyone, or how does that transformation look like?
I think it's definitely more regulated. So I think legal compliance play a big role. There's a lot of laws around data privacy, etc., that govern which you need to be aware of, and things of that nature, much more than in financial services. In terms of change, for me personally speaking, I think I was fairly well trained, having spent 14 years with financial services. In working with legal compliance and understanding how you need to have the right understanding of guidelines, or at least work with legal compliance to get approvals, things of that nature, and also that the laws and regulations are for the right reasons. So you want to be responsible as a marketer also. And what actually I'm not sure about now is there's CCPA, there's GDPR, there's state level laws. Like, where is this all evolving to in the future? So that's something that I'm not 100% sure. And then you bring in where we were headed with with Google, etc. Those aspects of it in Google's targeting capabilities. A lot of platforms also have policies that govern, what you can or cannot do in regulated industries, both financial services and healthcare. So it's curious to see that evolution that will take place in the
And I,
future as
and I
well.
think Europe is even stricter than what we are here. So I think if you are in one of those industries and as a marketer, it's kind of really challenging, and you gotta have that guardrails on, I would
Yeah,
imagine,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
So I'm going to steer up back a little bit into everyone's favorite topic, which is AI. I
Right.
think you are at an amazing place because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but some of the things that you saw and you did, and you were at the forefront of MarTech platforms, where we had five, and then I think 2,000, 10,000
Yeah,
MarTech
yeah,
platforms.
yeah.
Where do you see AI? Is it AI a natural evolution of MarTech, what it was in 2010, 2012 things? And where do you see AI now, and where do you think it's going, especially when it comes with marketing technology and stuff like that?
I love to learn. I'm very curious. I attend a lot of webinars and conferences when I can. And my and because I was so closely involved with the MarTech evolution in between 2010 and 2020, is that when the MarTech evolution happened, so the platforms were thought of as a point solution,
Mm-hmm.
or and then there would be questions around, okay, so you're investing so much in MarTech, what is the ROI, right? So and then but with AI, it's more of a strategy. If we think about AI as, okay, what is the ROI? With the investment that we make, etc., it's going to not be great because it's going to take time to understand the impact of AI, whether it is helping in improving your operational efficiency, or it is helping in making, having better business impact. All of this is going to take time. And I'm going to not talk about like the clinical, the strides AI is making on the clinical side or the drug side, etc. But in general, is going to be a force. I recently attended the Salesforce conference last week.
Yeah.
They have come up with Agent Force, which is like they weren't even conceiving that 5 years ago. And from machine learning to AI, assistant AI to agent AI, this is all transition, and we are all going to move with that. But it has to be a strategy because it will change how we do. And there are a lot of use cases that companies are now beginning to dabble with and learn from. A lot of CMOs may be very interested in bringing in AI into the company, CMO and CIO, but it is like, how do you need to have a very robust governance around AI, because much more than MarTech, this also has like things that have not been explored yet, like regulations around possible ethical bias, data bias, fairness, things of that nature, and how do you have stewards of AI that work closely with different departments and make sure that while AI is delivering impact, it is doing it in the right way. And what I'm seeing, I'm close to, is more with the AI-powered platforms. So in the past, it was more machine learning platforms. So the platforms of today are more Gen AI enabled, let's say. In the past, they were all machine learning enabled, so you would have the ability to do a lot of A/B testing, multivariate testing, AI-based testing that will be continuous, rapid cycle, learn and deliver a lot of that. Now it is, you also have Gen AI, so it makes a marketer's job easy. So, and it's conversational, right? So in today's CRMs of the world, from what I saw and what I understand, is like you can create campaigns easily. You can test a lot in terms of email content. It's all an agent force can do much more than an assistant AI. Assistant AI is more like you ask and it will do. Agent force is like it keeps doing. It's autonomous also, and until there is intervention. And So I feel like it's a big change, much more than MarTech. It definitely helps, like the AI-powered platforms definitely help the users of the platform, whether they are marketers or contact specialists, customer service agents, or whatever. It's definitely going to help, or sales agents, B2B.
Yeah.
It's going to help them, create emails, pull history of their leads and create emails. They'll tell how to reach, what is the best way to reach whether it's email, phone, whatever, to reach their leads. It's like next, I'm excited about the future.
Yeah, I mean, you rightly said, and I think it's gonna resonate amazingly well. Is AI is a strategy and not a tactic where you can ask like, what's the ROI of all the machines I'm putting together or the systems I'm investing in this. So it's a very strategic approach. And yeah, you're right. I do see the AI agents as your marketing team members, and like so many things that we were outsourcing, the mundane task or the same thing repeat over and over again. I think AI agents is going to become an extended team. So for example, from an agency point of view, let's say me or anyone else running a small agency, now I can hire 20 AI agents who will do the same work as say 10 people, for example. I think the collaboration will be a lot more when everybody comes up with their own little agent to do this own automation part of it, and then you have all these different agents, the smaller agents, working together, so then they became an agency. I don't know, but I think, yeah, you're right. I think one of the things that you touched upon is the AI governance. So I'm going to ask you one last question on that. And is that AI governance, companies or big organization actively thinking about it, or is something that they can do as they go along and see where the industry matures? What have you seen in terms of your view where you sit?
I think the governance of AI is something that's not necessarily set in stone yet. I think best practices are developing. I would say, like from the webinars I see, the challenges I hear about, and then because it's much more involved, like than the MarTech governance, for example. So AI governance, I don't think there is something that's set in stone like a best practice yet. But what they look for is like certain roles to be played within the governance structure, right? So you definitely have to have like evangelists, etc., to sell the platform. But to govern, you need to have people who are not evangelists, who have a critical eye also for what change the technology is bringing and what's the impact of it, both business impact and human impact. And so governance will evolve, because the moment you bring in human impact, like what it does to like the way you work, and how you work, you may have to retrain people to use. Like it's a very common sentence now. Like if you are better off with AI than without AI, for example, right? People in the future will be hired if they know AI more, if they are users of AI tools and platforms. So that's like every senior leader, in every industry says that now. So that's something that to be thought about, like what are the impacts of AI, and governance will make sure that there is fairness. There's more control structures around the execution, the implementation and execution of an AI strategy, which is definitely required, especially for the human aspect. And from regulation standpoint also. We don't know how regulations will evolve around AI.
Yeah, especially when it involves like really important, critical customer data, like in the healthcare world, for example, right? Last two questions. Having been in leadership role and you worked with so many leaders over the past so many years, what are the top 3 leadership lessons you can share with our audience, with us, and anybody who's aspiring to be a leader and working at big brands and corporations? And so if you can share your top 3, so.
Yeah, I think being curious and open is my number one. So as leaders in the changing in evolving and really driven by innovation, all the changes that's come in. We have to be on top of our game to understand, to stand as leaders, to understand where we're headed and how to lead the organization, our people, our teams to on that path. So that's one, curious and open. Second is, I feel like at this time of change, something that leaders should develop is emotional intelligence. Far too many leaders are very ROI oriented, and they're responsible for large budgets and teams and things of that nature. But how about people leadership? With all leaders have to develop like EI. The sooner we start, the earlier in our careers as we become leaders, the better we get at. So emotional intelligence definitely, as we usher in the changes that are coming to all our industries. And I think the third thing I would say is like empower your teams on two things: to make decisions, especially tactical level decisions. A lot of leaders get involved in like day-to-day activities of their teams, and that's I feel like that's taken away the team's power to grow. And also bring in a culture of test and learn. So if you don't have a culture of test and learn, you're not going to innovate or even get better incrementally. So I think those three are the top three, I would say. From a leadership standpoint, I would say those three I think are very important.
That's beautiful, because as you were talking about test and learn, it shows your tech background, because that's beautiful. Thank you. Related to that question, and I promise to let you go after that, but you had an unusual path, right? For many, you come from a tech place, you go get your MBA, then you lead marketing organization, work on heavy digital marketing tactics, so on and so forth. Looking back, and it's so easy to look back, right?
Yeah.
What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
I would definitely say that I took some risks, but I stopped taking risks after some time. I think I would encourage people, especially like younger people and my old self or my younger self to take more risks. Something that I appreciate that you did is like take a big risk back in 2011, I believe, right? Around that time, or maybe a little later, to start your own agency. So that is a much bigger risk than joining another job or something where you bring your leadership skills or expertise. You just started something on your own, and that is a significant risk. So I would say and in a good way, like you have to challenge yourself. You'll grow when you take risks. You'll not grow if you're complacent. So that's definitely one. I wish I'd taken more risks. So that's one. The second I would say is I would say be hungry but be patient. So having hunger is great because you have to have the fire in the belly to grow and learn, make bigger impacts, serve customers, influence people, teams, but patience is a virtue. Is a virtue. I had very little patience when I was growing through my career, especially early on. And something that has helped me along the way is definitely I do a lot of meditation, right? And meditation definitely hones certain qualities. Makes you more balanced in a way. So I would say that patience needs to be cultivated for sure, because sometimes, for example, I'll give you a quick example. We spoke about AI change, right? You need a lot of patience to see the impact of that change. And yes, you are hungry for making changes, showing impact, serving your customers, influencing bosses, getting a promotion, whatever, right? But patience, because if you don't have patience, you can do things in a way that is not sustainable in the future. So that I would say these two will be my top two for myself. I was quite impatient in my 20s, and as I entered my 30s, I think I started developing more and more patience, and I think meditation helped me quite a bit in that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. No, this is great. I mean, that's the whole purpose, like as I said, like with this podcast too, is I've invited some meditation experts. I've invited some health and wellness folks, and mindfulness, breathing work, because I think it's all part of collective learning, because it
Yes.
all helps in your performance, whether it be sports or business or what have you. But this is great. Thank you so much. I kept you too long. I know that. So sorry for that, but the conversation was so interesting and things. So thank you so much, Satyakam, for doing this. And one last thing, if people want to connect with you or follow you or something, please feel free to share your handles and anything that you.
Yeah, I'm not an influencer, etc. But obviously I have LinkedIn account,
LinkedIn.
whatever. LinkedIn, yeah, I'm not by any means, at least not yet. I don't share my thoughts, widely on social platforms yet. That could change. I mean,
Yeah,
this is a start.
you
So
definitely. I didn't guess you were a TikToker.
yeah. So this is, thank you for having me
Yeah.
on this platform. I think this is my first podcast, and it was
Really.
great to share my draw from my experiences and share with you. You have a very unique background, and I know that we overlapped early in our
Yeah.
careers. But it's great that you call experts in areas to talk about, from their experience, share nuggets of wisdom from their experience.
Yeah, thank you so much for the kind words, really. And yeah, I think as you said earlier too, like as I have gone wiser and doing more of these podcasts, I've learned the wisdom of active listening. So I think I try to get better at it. But thank you so much for doing this. This is amazing, great learning, and yeah, we'll be in touch. And this is great. Thank you, Satyakam. Thank you.
Thank you.